I trained from my third transfer on. So I finished my first 12 weeks in the mission. My training was complete, and I trained pretty much ever since then. I think there was one transfer when I was with another sister training leader, and but usually I was training and was also a sister training leader, which in this one area I was asked to train. And so my companion and I, we had to open up this new area. And they had taken sisters out a couple weeks before. They had the area book pretty well filled. They had some investigators. They had some investigators with a baptismal date, but we couldn't find them. And so we just had to start by learning what the boundaries were of our area, who the members were, who our bishop was, the ward mission leader. And so we spent a lot of time trying to get to know the area, trying to find the old investigators, trying to find new converts, trying to find less actives, and trying to invite everyone to go to church. In my mission, they had very high standards. You had to talk to so many people a day. You had to invite so many people to be baptized a day. And it was pretty intense. We also had to, you had to have so many people committed to go to church for Sunday, and it had to be with a member, and you had to teach the doctrine, and you had to verify, and you had to, we had this thing called vaccinate them, where it's like you tell them that Satan's going to work on them, and he's going to make them not want to go to church. So if they have any problems, like, what if your family comes on Sunday? What are you going to do? Oh, we're going to go to church no matter what. Or what if you're sick on Sunday? We're going to go to church no matter what. Oh, you have to wash clothes. We're going to go to church. And so we kind of had to do stuff like that. And so we're just trying our hardest to get people to say they're going to go. And every Saturday we would have a meeting with as a zone, to discuss how many people we had committed to go to church, how many people we had invited to go to church, and what our commitment was for Sunday, how many people we were going to bring to church, how many investigators were we going to have at church. And so we had a state conference our first Sunday in that area, and it was out of our area, so we still didn't know kind of where it was, or if people were actually going to go, how we were going to get ourselves there, let alone everyone else. So everyone else was putting goals like, we're going to have 15 investigators at state conference, and it's going to be awesome. And we're like, well, it'll be a miracle if we have 7 people. So 7's going to be our goal. And everyone's like, oh, well, that's a low number. And I thought, no, we are going to bring 7 people there. Like, I'm not going to put 15 just because everyone else is. I have faith, but I will bring 7. And then if Heavenly Father, wants us to bring more, then we will. And so on Sunday morning, we had to run around for all our investigators, and it's a nightmare, and you get sweaty before church, and you're dead by the time church starts. But my companion and I, we really, really prayed that we would have 7 people there at church. And there was this one member who was in a ward that I'd previously served in, who brought her cousin, who lived in our ward boundaries, to the state conference. And so that was like a miracle investigator that we got that day. And we looked around, and we saw this member's brother who wasn't a member, the mom of this one girl who had just gotten baptized. We saw a couple that we had invited. And so it was just miracle after miracle after miracle. And we had 6. And we were like, no, we wanted 7. And then the bishop came up to us after, and he said, hey, did you guys meet Hermana Maria? And we thought, who's that? And he said that this woman had come to church. She found the stake center. She came to church because she wanted to be baptized. Because her sister lived on the coast, and she had started going to church when she visited her sister the week before. And she just loved the gospel, and she started listening to the missionaries, to the lessons. And so when she came back after her vacation, she looked for the church, and she found it, and she went, and she wanted to be baptized. And it was the biggest miracle that I've ever experienced. I mean, there were a couple times on my mission where people went to church and they said, we want to be baptized. And I know that those are tender mercies from the Lord. And so my companion and I, we had 7 people at church. All the other missionaries, they only had 3 or 4 at church, and their commitments were 15. And so I realized the importance of setting real goals, not just setting them high because you want to look good in front of other missionaries or to say, oh, well, we have more faith. It's not about that. It's about what the Spirit says that your goal should be. And so we learned that it's between us and the Lord what goals we want to set, and that you really have to work for those. If you're going to promise to do that, then it has to be realistic, but with faith. And so for us in that moment, it was realistic with a lot of faith. And we saw a miracle. And that sister who came to church, we taught her. We didn't really teach her that much because she knew everything already. And she was baptized 2 weeks later. And it was one of the most beautiful experiences of my life. And she is now engaged to this member of the church, and they're planning on getting married this year sometime. They're not sure. That's not a thing for them to like set a date, but but it just made me so happy. And I knew that because we had been obedient during the week at talking to everyone we could and trying to find new investigators and getting to know the ward members and establishing that relationship and setting realistic goals with faith and trusting in the Lord, that we were very blessed, very blessed.